Trouble for some in the commercial real estate market is an opportunity for others. Stephen Ross is known as the king of Columbus Circle, and the country's largest real estate developer recently made headlines when he added to his Columbus Circle kingdom with the mortgage purchase of a troubled office tower. Here now with more on his outlook for commercial as well as the kickoff to the NFL season, Stephen Ross, the chairman, CEO, and founder of the related companies, owner of the Miami Dolphins. He joins us along with Richard Lafrac, to whom we owe a debt of gratitude for bringing you in. Stephen, it's a pleasure to have you.
Well, Carl, it's a real pleasure to be here.
Nice to see you. Want to talk football or real estate first?
Either one. I guess football you can be a little more optimistic.
Let's save that
at this time of the year.
Let's go out on that note because we've talked to Richard a little bit about where we stand, and it's kind of hard to generalize, isn't it? Because markets vary right now.
Yeah, I mean, real estate's very local, so you can't really generalize about real estate as a whole.
Overall, is your gut positive, optimistic, or?
Well, I guess you have to look at it as the economy. I mean, real estate is really a byproduct of the economy. It's a function of jobs, and we all know what's happening with that. So you can't be really optimistic when you look at real estate today.
There are jobs being created, not enough.
Not enough.
Right? Is that sort of, does that crystallize where you think we are? I mean, it's growth, but it's just too slow.
Right, there's not enough jobs being created, and the economy isn't very robust at this point in time. And people don't have the confidence. They're waiting to see, if I have another double dip or something like that.
Yeah.
Steve, don't you think these very low interest rates have bailed out a lot of owners now or institutions and have allowed them to delay any day of reckoning with problem properties that they have sitting on their balance sheets?
Well, I mean, it really is a function of how they were financed. I mean, a lot of the properties had too much debt on them, and they can't refinance them, and so therefore they're in default. So, I mean, it'd be great if there was a lot of money to go with the low interest rates. Today, there's not a lot of money to go with the low interest rates, so you're not really being bailed out that much.
But there's $135 million allegedly on the sidelines waiting to get into distressed properties, and some of that's been leaking into the system now. And there doesn't seem to be as much distress as people described in the past.
Well, I think there hasn't been a lot of properties put on the market. I think it's been kicking the can with a lot of the banks who are holding property. There's a lot of equity, but there's not a lot of debt. There are a lot more transactions taking place today as some of the banks can write off some of these bad loans that they had made. But there's still not a lot. The activity is not what you call robust.
Yeah. The Beige Book earlier this week says demand for commercial, industrial, retail space remained depressed. Vacancy rates stayed at elevated levels. In general, rising in a few districts, putting continued downward pressure on rents. That doesn't sound positive at all.
Not at all. But at the same time, people are buying it, and they're seeing that they think they're buying bargains, so to speak. But, it's a question. There is so much money there. People sometimes have to get, what are they going to do with their money? There's no returns in the market today, so they're buying property and hoping that inflation will take care of it.
Is that where your head is, say, regarding Columbus Circle?
Well, Columbus Circle, as you indicated, we bought a note on a property that was kind of adjacent to Time Warner Center, and we've seen what has happened, with that part of the city. We saw that the property, there was a higher and better use for the property, and we've bought the note and hoping to do something there.
Is there anything that can come out of Washington that would make you feel more comfortable about stepping on the gas, or at this point, is it just, Ted Turner always said, lead follower, get out of the way. Are we at the get out of the way stage?
Well, I think right now, the way things are, I think we have to do something today to become more competitive as a country. And I think a lot of the problems, exist with how the unions, both state, local, and industrial unions, are being treated. And with them leading the way, it's very hard for our economy, I think, to kind of rebound and grow and be competitive.
The catbird seat right now. I mean, every speech is in front of a union that we're getting right now, right?
Right. I mean,
in we don't even realize the federal, state, and local unions and the power there, and the numbers that we're talking about, and the benefits and the salaries. The salaries are double what they are in the private sector right now, and a lot of that stimulus it went right there.
Right. That's where most of the money went.
Right.
Because we have nothing to show for what all that stimulus.
Exactly. They have a lot to show for it. They get to keep it, and then you got the GM. But do you ever look at what the unions got based on their actual ownership stake in GM?
Well, I know what the public didn't get, let's put it that way.
And the bondholders.
You're right.
We know what the bondholders didn't get either.
Yeah.
It's all clear.
Well, the strength of unions has coincided with the growth of government. That's what you were just saying. The majority of union membership is because of government jobs, period. Right? As opposed to private.
And then the unions give them, to the favored political party. That's where the contributions go, and then the party stays in for it, and then the union gets back and gets to come to the dance and gets all the benefits of. It's pretty simple.
I mean, with all the money that is going to keep the government workers going in the unions, as well as the private sector, it makes us non-competitive. I mean, I know today, and there's a lot of easy things we could do to change that. But I think today the unions really kind of control the White House.
Right.
And you have that, you're not going to really have a lot of growth.
Now we're the same, because it's the same story in Europe. I mean, you look over there, they've got the same, but we never thought we'd be in that same boat. But so we're as competitive as Europe. Which
they got
better food.
Yeah, except they got better food, better wine, they get 3 months off.
Although the opposite argument, the unions would say that business had their way with the previous administrations. What do you say back to that argument?
Well, I mean, you could look at Great Britain after the war. I mean, look at the unions took over, the Labour Party, and look what happened to the UK.
Right.
This is when the United States really had our great growth. I mean, today, that growth is occurring in China, and it's not occurring, and we're becoming like Great Britain was after the war.
You said that there are some simple things that could be done to help improve our competitiveness. What are some of those things?
Well, I mean, this is talk a little bit about the real estate industry, the construction industry. New York City, today, we're probably 30% more costly than New Jersey. And it's not about wages. It's about the work rules that you deal with. And I think there's things that could be done with the unions and just bending the work rules and coming with today's times. The world has changed. We're in a different world today.
New York's always been a little difficult, though, correct? I mean, it's always been...
It's been characterized as that. But, I mean, I'm not a New Yorker. I moved to New York, and we're building in New York. And, it scared away a lot of people. But there's a great demand in New York. It's probably the world's greatest real estate market. And there's still a great need for housing. And the cost to build in New York City today is probably 30% more than New Jersey. And it's why? It's a function of the unions.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you ready for Buffalo on Sunday?
I hope so. I believe so.
We had Mark Murphy from the Packers on yesterday. It's going to be a heck of a season. The league has done so many nice things, great things with parity, many years of labor peace, but everybody's talking about what's going to happen when this bargaining agreement rolls over. What's the future?
Well, I mean, look, America is in love with football, with the NFL. And I think that, everybody wants to see that put to bed and put behind us. Right now this is back to football season, and this is the opening weekend. And I think everybody's very excited about that. And, as an owner, I hope that we continue that and there is no work stoppage. And it's very exciting times.
People say challenges as an owner. Obviously, you got the macroeconomic picture. You got beautiful plasma TVs that make watching a game at home better than ever. Is it going to get easier to fill seats, fill boxes?
Well, I mean, it's getting a lot more difficult. I mean, the hardest thing today, being an owner, is really how do you really fill those seats? And you really have to enhance the fan experience. And today it's so much easier to stay at home, watch it on your, what will even become 3D television. Yeah. And with all the advances they've made along those lines, we as owners have to do something to really make it more exciting and give the fans something they can't get by staying at home. And that's what we're doing in Miami. And I think the NFL is doing that this year. This coincidentally, thanks for the question, I bought a company called Fan Vision that will really bring handheld devices to the stadium where you can watch replays within 2 seconds of the play from different camera angles.
I like that.
That's right.
This is it right here. Will be available in 12 NFL cities and the University of Michigan this year.
So if I'm sitting there and I want to say, wait, did he really get past the line? I can call it back myself at any point I want and check it out?
Right after that play, within 2 seconds, we're showing to you and you can then pick the camera angle. And also when you're at home, there's an hour of downtime without regarding between plays when you're watching a football game. You'll be able to watch out-of-town games from your handheld device. You also have the audio, statistics, any type of statistics you'll be able to recall. So it's really to give you something at a game that you can't get at home and really customize your experience there.
How much does it cost if I'm a fan and I'm sitting in the stadium and I want to pick up one of these?
It costs, the device costs $199 is our introductory price this year. The price will go up, and it really is going to revolutionize, I believe, the fan experience in going to games.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to go across all sports eventually.
I can see how that would, I mean, anyone who's been to a football game knows about the things you sometimes miss being in the stadium, and that would remedy a lot of it. I like the Dolphins lanyard, too. Does that come with it?
Well, each team will have their own, brand and their own colors.
Does it cook your tailgating? Does it cook for you if you want to tailgate?
I'll tell you how to cook.
Steve, a real pleasure to have you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
We hope you'll come back.
Thanks.